wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody knows the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep fucking it out the root. Make country flowers in there, fuck it up. Make country produce in there, fuck it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of them politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who fucking up me country. Riding on me donkey, transportation bliss. Me fireside bubbling a goodie. I hear rioting in the gas crisis. Surrounded by wild animals. What a vicious pack. But none of them does launch an attack. None of them poison us like invert and sap. The hunt always on, I could say that much. And true, can switch it up like crime watch. My mission now is to put a stop to whosoever fucking me country up. Some say a man named Eric, George, Robbie and Patrick. Some say Capildeo, Tadis, Kamla Basteo. Old man Bedu said this ain't nothing new. They fucking up long before 1962. If Wattley was around, he might have tell we directly who fucking up me country.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Rebuttal. I am Douglas Wattley, your host. Now, you realize that we only have but a couple of episodes left before the 2020 elections. Now, what happens after that is left to be seen. We have at least 12 episodes left. And that's if the government takes us all the way down to August for the hosting of the 2020 general elections. And like I said, I don't know what format the rebuttal will take thereafter. But I suspect that the rebuttal is likely to be around for some time. I may not be the host, but I think that the rebuttal is one of those programs that should be around for some time. I could tell you that the format that I had conceptualized when I initially thought of the rebuttal, I have not stuck to it. A significant portion of the rebuttal was supposed to be informative. It was supposed to be educational. I was going to use it as a platform to educate the population on various subject matter. And I'm not saying that I would be the one who would be leading such programs, But that was the initial intent. It would be informative, it would be educational, there would be some entertainment, it would be interviews. But I've not stuck to the format. And of course, sometimes you have to react to the times and you have to react to the conditions on the ground. And in so doing, we have come up with an opinion show, a political opinion show, and we didn't see a reason to change. But I suspect, like I said, there's going to come a time when we would modify the rebuttal. One fella met me and said, you know what, Lee, if you were in Europe, this guy lived in England, he said, if you were in England, you would be quite wealthy. You would be one of the most popular political show or talk show on the air, and people would be sponsoring your program. And I thought, you know, yes, I believe that. I believe that if I were to take this out of the context of St. Kitts, that we could do very well. And so we may give it some thought. Like I said, it need not be I who am the host, but the program, the name, the concept, it might just work. And so we'll think about it as we go along. As I said to you earlier, I want to welcome you to the rebuttal. All of you who have sent messages concerning last week's show, most of you seem to have enjoyed that show immensely. I say thanks. I appreciate your compliments. I want to especially take this opportunity to say good evening to an individual whom I'm told is an ardent listener, Mrs. Allen. I got your message. Thanks. I appreciate the kind words. And yes, as soon as possible, I would take you up on your offer to come by and have lunch. And so I think you know who you are. I'm not going to elaborate so that everybody could get into you and my business. All right? But I appreciate the fact that you spend your Wednesday evening with us here on the rebuttal. And so if you are in St. Kitts or Nevis or in the St. Kitts Nevis diaspora, once again, welcome to the rebuttal. I'm Douglas Wattley, your host. I think we are going to have quite an interesting evening this evening as we get closer to the 2020 election. It's going to become a little bit more fun, and in some instances it's going to get hot. It's going to get downright hot. And so after today, we have 8 days until the Parliament shall stand dissolved, meaning the Parliament will dissolve no matter what. Ain't a damn thing they could do about it. The Parliament shall stand dissolved, and that elections shall be held within 90 days. Now, you notice that by virtue of some answers you get from the Attorney General, you notice that they have been spending hours upon hours trying to figure out how they can extend this Parliament and how they may be able to postpone the elections. And so this talk about the common law would justify them doing this and doing that. Ain't no common law coming in here to cause no confusion. The Constitution is king, the Constitution is supreme, and we are going to be guided by the Constitution. You are not going to go and look for no obscure law to come and create no confusion in this country. Because I'm telling you, the people will be justified to rise up if you try to take away the right to vote at a time prescribed by the Constitution. And so they say, no start nothing. Because if you don't start nothing, there'll be nothing. All right? The people look forward to the dissolution of the parliament next week, Thursday. And then the people look forward to you setting a date for the elections. And the people look forward for you to making it possible for them to vote in a safe environment. And we look forward to having a new government installed latest August 14, 2020. Now, you all know that I have been fixated on the issue of which boundaries would govern the 2020 election. I have talked about that a lot. And I know that there are divergent views out there as to which boundaries would prevail. I've given you my opinion. I continue to read and I continue to try and figure out where we are. Team Unity is now arguing that there is an injunction that is alive in the courts, and that injunction prevents the elections from being held on the 2015 boundaries. By now you know that I disagree with that. But I figure that the courts will be called to adjudicate that matter because it's a dispute. And where there is a dispute, the court must adjudicate. And this matter is a matter that must be adjudicated, not necessarily for either party, but for in the interest of the general public. Because I need to know that the boundaries that I'm voting on are the legal boundaries. And so the court would very well be required to address that matter. I maintain that the reading that says that there is an injunction in place is wrong. There is, in my mind, no prevailing injunction in the court against the 2015 boundaries. And so those boundaries are the boundaries that should be used in the 2020 election. I maintain that all along there were three issues that arose in 2015. One issue was whether the parliament was dissolved prior to the making of the proclamation which gave effect to the 2015 boundaries. It was whether the proclamation giving effect to the 2015 boundaries came after the proclamation dissolving the parliament. There was another issue, whether the proclamation giving effect to the 2015 boundaries was valid. Was it lawful? That was the other issue. And the third issue was whether the 2015 boundaries report, the CDC report, the CBC report, was also valid. Those issues were the issues, in my mind, and by my reading, that prevailed in 2015. No court, either in St. Kitts and Nevis, the OECS Appeals Court, or the Privy Council, heard the latter two issues. The last two issues were not heard. And you cannot show me anywhere that provide evidence that those two matters were addressed. The matter of the validity of the proclamation and the matter of the validity of the CBC report. What was heard was the first issue, which is whether the proclamation giving effect to the new boundaries came after or before the dissolution of Parliament. So the only matter, like I said, was addressed, and that matter made its way all the way to the Privy Council. The other two matters are still to be decided. And those other two matters were expected to be decided in the court. And now the argument is that, well, there is a prevailing injunction against the 2015 boundaries being legal, right? And the argument is also that if that case is not heard, then the injunction is not removed. And that simply does not make sense to me. It actually doesn't make sense. Now, you're telling me that you have an injunction in place for 5 years. You know of the injunction. You know that the injunction need to be removed for us to get an idea of the new boundaries. You should act. You failed to act. And now you want the benefit to fall to you, even though you failed to do what you were supposed to do. You were expected to take those matters to court to determine the validity of the proclamation and the validity of the CBC report. And you didn't do it. And so I want to ask the question, even if you argue that there was an injunction, and I argue that there isn't an injunction, but if you argue that there was an injunction, the failure to move the court to hear the substantive matter what becomes of the injunction? So the Privy Council said that if the 2015 proclamation is deemed invalid, if it's deemed invalid, then the 2015 boundaries are in jeopardy. But if they are not deemed invalid, then the 2015 boundaries would prevail and the elections would be held on the 2015 boundaries. They would come into effect after the dissolution of the parliament. So if they are not taken to court, are they deemed valid or are they deemed invalid? It seems to me that if they are not challenged and if you don't bring arguments to show their invalidity, then it seems to me that the fallback position, the default position, is that they are valid. The default position is that they are valid. But I also argue that the injunctions are not on the two issues of the validity of the proclamation and the validity of the CBC report. Because what I'm arguing is that those two issues were not part of the issue argued at the Privy Council level. It was only the issue of the timing of the proclamation, not the quality or caliber of the proclamation. And so when the Privy Council ruled, right, it ruled only on the first question. And so the validity of the proclamation and the validity of the CBC report were not part of the appeal, and so it could not be part of the injunction. That is how I see it. All right? That is how I see it. And so I look forward to hear. And I'm telling Labour now, challenge it. I believe the 2015 boundaries, like I said last week, put you in a stronger position. You may very well win 8 seats in St. Kitts. And I'm saying, you can't lose either way. You tell me when I ask you that you could win on both boundaries. You could win on the 1989 boundaries, and you could win on the 2015 boundaries. I believe that you could. But I also believe that you stand a better chance on the 2015 boundaries than the 1918 boundaries to win more seats. I even venture to tell you you could win all 8. Well, if you got a chance to win all 8, that ain't what you're going to do. So at the very least, the court going to say, hey, look, the 1989 boundaries prevail, and you go through that, and you win as you had promised. Or they might say, it's the 2015 boundaries, and you hold the election on the 2015 boundaries, and you kick ass. So one, you're going to win. The other one, you're going to kick ass. But which one you're going to choose? Choose the kick ass one. So hear what I'm saying to my Labour friends. Make sure that this matter is determined before you move forward. So as soon as the dissolution of the party, of the parliament, then this matter is ripe for decision. Because we argue that when it dissolves, the 2015 boundaries kick in. They argue that when it dissolves, the 2015 boundaries don't kick in. That dispute has to be dealt with, has to be adjudicated, right? And so, as soon as Friday morning, I want to hear this matter is before the court. Now, some people say, why, how they going to get it before the court? The people then going to lock down the country, which means the courts can't think. And they're going to say all kind of things. Well, look here now. That they ain't going to apply to no court, you know. You lock down the country, that's a you business. You can't tell the court that a matter cannot be presented. And you can't tell a judge that he cannot, because the country in lockdown, he cannot consider a matter and interpret a matter and present a judgment or an opinion. This matter will be heard. This matter is one of urgency, because in the public interest, we have to know what obtains. Right? We ain't playing. And I'm going to tell you something, you know. They knew, because they argued. If you look at section 9 or item 9, I don't know how they call it, of the OECS Court of Appeal decision, which came down on February 5th, 2015. The one discharging, upholding the discharge of the injunction by Justice Carter. Right? Here's one of the arguments that Team Unity was making, you know. They say that the coincidence of the signing of the two proclamations, one to give effect to the new boundaries and one to dissolve the parliament. They said the coincidence of the signing of the two proclamations, right? And they say it does not meet the requirement of section 50, subsection 6 of the Constitution for the proclamation to come into force upon the dissolution of Parliament on that day. And they say it's because there is no evidence that it was made before and not together with the dissolution proclamation. That's the dissolution of the Parliament. And so it can only come into effect. This is what they're arguing, you know. They're arguing that the proclamation giving effect to new boundaries, right? They're saying that it came after the dissolution of Parliament. And they're arguing that it can only therefore come into effect following the next dissolution of Parliament, whenever that may be in the ensuing 5-year period following the 16th of February 2015 general election. They were arguing, and this is what was upheld by the Privy Council. That is what they won at the Privy Council. They were arguing that the proclamation that gave effect to the new boundaries, in other words, the proclamation which would have caused new boundaries to be used in 2015, they're saying that it came after Dr. Douglas dissolved Parliament. And so it came too late. In fact, the Privy Council says the earliest that it could have been made was the 20th of January. And so the proclamation exists. Yes, it's questioned, but it exists. And even Team Unity argued, because Team Unity was only concerned with which boundaries they were going to use in 2015. They weren't concerned with anything else. They just wanted the boundaries to be the 1989 boundaries. And so their argument was, look, what we are arguing here is that the boundaries were changed after the dissolution of Parliament. It took effect after the dissolution of Parliament. Right? And at the very least, those boundaries can only work whenever the Parliament is next dissolved. And so the Parliament is going to be dissolved latest next week, Thursday. And so once it is dissolved, just like Team Unity saw it, just like they expected it, just like they argued, the 2015 boundaries will take effect. That is my point of view, and I'm sticking to it and sticking with it until a learned judge tell me otherwise. And that is why I'm saying to Labour, you got to jump on this as soon as they say, not as they say, as soon as Parliament is dissolved. And I'm telling you, I hope that you all were keeping two lists. One on the 1989 boundaries and one on the 2015 boundaries. Because you don't want to be caught off guard. You ain't know what shenanigans they're trying down in the voters' office, electoral office. So you supposed to get your list. Your duck supposed to be in a row. How many times I tell her that? Don't come tell me that they catch you off guard, you know. Because that's no excuse. That's no excuse. Alright? So we have something to look forward to, and I think it's going to be interesting to see the arguments for and against and to see the results. Whatever the results coming from a judge, you got to accept it. You accept it, you suck it up, and you move on. Alright? So on that note, I'm going to pause here and then we'll come back and continue the discussion. But one thing I know, that we got 8 days to go until Parliament shall stand dissolved. You with me? Alright. Let's take a break and then we'll be back.
Come now, me and the neighbor. Oh yes, we voting for Labour. Alright, me and the neighbor. Bring them, we voting for Labour.
This is 102.5 Kyssfm, the Federation's one true source.
I love being in the latest style and dress fine, or should I say classy. That is why I shop at First Class next to the taxi stand at Port Sante for fine gold and silver jewelry in precious, semi-precious and colored stones, diamond and crystal watches, and the hottest handbags and wallets. And when I want to buy a gift for someone, that's easy too. I just ask them to make me a gift basket, and First Class has the best prices at Port Sante. So no matter what the occasion, come on into First Class and leave happy, knowing you've gotten the best deal for your money. It's First Class at Port Sante, where quality, low prices, and top-notch service are second to none.
Spread the word. New and exclusive every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Gospel Cafe with Carl D. Springate on KYSS FM 102.5. Tune in and connect with the Holy Ghost Connection with live interviews, Christian news, what's hot and what's not, in the now. Birthdays and anniversary shout-outs available, Bible Jeopardy, Beyond the Pulpit, and positive entertainment and ministry. Testimonies and the pastor's moment with Spread the Word. So tune in as we drop the latest gospel hits, 100% flat. It's the Carl D. Springate Gospel Cafe, Sundays from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KYSSFMonline.com and 102.5 FM. And be blessed like that.
Tune in to Kyssfm every Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. for a live broadcasting of Ask the Leader with the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas as he discusses a host of national topics and issues. Listen live on radio at Kyssfm 102.5 or view live on the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party's Facebook page. Be sure to call in and let your voice be heard by dialing 869-466-5977 every Tuesday on Kyssfm 102.5. Ask the Leader with the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas.
One fashion accessories for really low prices. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Beauty supplies and weave. Genuine fragrances. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Handbags so beautiful, your friends will envy how you look. With perfume to smell just right, you'll feel like you're in paradise. Watches, silver jewelry, and hair accessories. Check silver and cents in the Amri Mall on Keon Street.
The Timothy Harris-led Unity government is setting out to disenfranchise the voters of St. Kitts and Nevis. Make sure you have your voter's ID to vote in this upcoming election. So go to the electoral office on Central Street today and collect your national ID card. Don't delay. Get your national ID card. Also get a backup ID. Make sure your passport, driver's license, or social security card is up to date. Don't be cheated out of a government that you deserve. Get your ID today.
I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody knows the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix If you don't like to mix with the politics, one issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep fucking it out the root. Make country flowers in it, fuck it up. Make country produce in it, fuck it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of the politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who fucking up me country.
Hey, welcome back to the Rebuttal. I'm Douglas Wattley, your host. You know, last 2 weeks, they were on my cousin's case because I congratulate him for buying a new office building on the square. Right? They give Barcalico hell. Them Team Unity and Pam people. Now this week, they're on my brother case, Duncan Big Lice Wattley. As it turns out, and as I understand it, Big Lice must have shared some information about his imminent retirement from the public service. He might have spoken to a guy and somebody tell me it must be this guy Webb. And the guy ran with it and ran like a little girl and told his co-conspirators, those who write under the pseudonym Andre Liebert. And so they take out the text on Big Lice. Because you see, they got scared, thinking that Big Lice, if he retires now, would campaign against Hamilton. But I don't see why they should be scared. They should have done call election long time. But you also have to ask yourself the question, if Big Lice want to campaign against Hamilton, Big Lice ain't got to retire. He could campaign against Hamilton anytime he damn well please. But look at the reaction. Look at the reaction. These thieving people believe that everybody thief like them, you know. And so whenever they feel threatened, or whenever you confront them, you know, like they say, a thief don't like to see anybody else with a bag, because he think them thief too. I saw them to be, you know. They rebuttal to every accusation. Right accusations against them is to say, oh, you thief, oh, you this, oh, you that. And they can't justify the argument or the claim. And so they believe that everybody thief like them. What they do, they go and they call Big Lice every name in the book. They tell all kind of lies about him. And they judge him by their own shortcomings. But you know, I well know, me can keep quiet. In the face of attack, the only thing me know is to counter attack. In the military, they tell me the best way to deal with an ambush is to charge the ambush. Didn't make sense to me then, still don't make sense to me now. But that's something, since they taught it to me, that's what I do. So when you come, I coming back. I charging back. You see how they react to Barcalico? It's because in their mind, you know, a poor black fella from Cairn should not be in a position to buy an office building on the square in the center of town. And so they say he thief. And they say all kind of things about him. Now, they owe him, you know. They wouldn't pay him, you know. But them say thief. All because they don't know his alternate means of income. They must think saying this one either work. Barcolico is called to the bar in the OECS. He's called to the bar in Tortola. He's called to the bar in Canada, Ontario, Canada. You understand? And so he could practice in multiple jurisdictions. But the only thing they could say is that he thief. Now Big Lice caused them to believe that he's retiring. And they let off. And some of the things they do is they attack the fact that he has invested in a building in Keon, where he has a business called the Green Valley Pub. And there are all kind of things to say about Big Lice. But Big Lice expect that. As he said on Facebook, you can't play mass and fade powder. You can't be in the public square and expect that nobody going to attack you. People who know you're going to attack you, people who don't know you're going to attack you. Some of your friends, them, who know you, going to stand by while other people attack you and say nothing. And they well know that what they're saying ain't true. But that ain't me, you know. No, I can say nothing about my friends, them. That ain't true. And think me ain't gonna pick up, you know. No, I can say nothing about my family, them. That me no ain't true. Mine if it's true. And if I know it is true, I can't defend it. That is the way it is. I can't defend it. You understand? Well, anyway, let us look at some of the things them they've been saying about Big Lice. Yeah, I feel even call Big Lice a dog. They say Big Lice is a dog. But they need to get it right. Big Lice is not just a dog. Big Lice is a dirty, stinking dog. That's one thing we don't do, you know. We don't do ordinary. So get it right. If you're going to call Big Lice a dog, call him by name. A dirty, stinking dog. Are you out of place? Big Lice is one of them dogs that if he bite you, you're going to get rabies. So get your facts right. Big Lice is a dirty, stinking dog. You out of your place. Put handle on him and name. Big Lice is not an ordinary dog. Then you say Big Lice stole land from Isaac, the Isaac fella in Keon. And all I'm going to tell you that. You can't steal from an individual who does not have ownership of a particular asset. For Big Lice to be accused of stealing the land or the property, the person from whom you said he stole it should first own it. And so all you got to do is go down into the registry and check ownership of the property. And I'm sure it's going to say, well, not ownership because I still offer it. I'm sure it's going to say Duncan Big Lice. And maybe next to it it's going to say dirty stinking dog Wattley. Now your damn forwardness. Thief what? Thief from who? And if he thief, lock him up. Because he well know that ain't how he was raised. If he thief, lock him up. You're using money that you thief to buy property all over the place for you, your brothers, your sisters. Yet you want to call people thief. You thief and you took. But you want to call people thief. Are you out of place? Are you out of your place? It's $75,000 your child mother up a tongue get just after the election. Where the hell you get $75,000 to give her from? $75,000 your child mother up a tongue get for house just after the election. That is money you thief. Oh, sorry. That is money you took. Then I say that Big Lice took money from his job, from the constituency empowerment program. Then lock him up. Lock his ass up. You the boss. Lock him up. But you all know how you're lying. And look why do. Are you going to bring Mortilla name into it? Poor Mortilla. Mortilla trying to stay under the radar, you know. Mortilla hoping I don't call for name, you know. So people could talk about Mortilla, you know. And now you're going to bring up Mortilla in this thing. For 3 years, Big Lice ain't had a budget. Whatever Big Lice did, he got from gifts that he went out and begged for, that people volunteered. That is how Big Lice was able to survive in the job. Because you set him up to fail by not giving him a budget. Now I got the heart to say that he stole public funds. Well, lock his ass up. Lock him up. Bring out the paperwork and lock him up. As soon as Big Lice left that job, the department all of a sudden got somewhere close to $8 or $10 million budget. And now, who in charge? Mortilla. Mortilla, tell them no use your name. If you no got no history, tell them no use your name. If you're clean, tell them no use your name. Because we know, you know, a certain fella has had to buy certain people's silence because of what they saw and what they know. You think they don't know that a certain fella take money? Money used to be done in the house all on the floor. A fella up in Pep take up some and they want to make noise, abuse them. What I mean? Or you thief or took money and want to be stingy and greedy with it. You want to keep it and a certain fella take some. And then after the fella take some, another one say, move the money, bring it over by me, put it in a vault. You see? Because nobody will go by them. And so they move the money. And I want to call people thief. Now the conscience must be killing them. Next thing you say, Big Lice stole from the roofing program. And you know what I say again? If you got proof that Big Lice thief, lock his ass up. Lock him up. You see me? Big Lice is my brother, you know. And so I am compelled to come to his defense. If he was my friend, I still would have come to his defense. Because I know my friends them. I know what they would do and what they wouldn't do. I know what they like and what they ain't like. You understand? But he ought to tell you, if Big Lice thief, lock him up. Then you say, oh, he almost go to debtor's jail. Well, thank God he didn't go. A lot of how he not got no money. right? We know that you ain't going to debtor's jail because you don't thief enough. So you could bang your mouth about people going to debtor's jail. We know the struggle. We know the hardship. We know how difficult it is to keep our heads above water. You don't. I mean, you got this family, husband and wife, who died close to each other up in Canada, where they not give more than $400,000 towards a particular campaign. One load of money they give, and then you turn worthless. You don't take the calls. You don't talk to them. And so, when the husband died, went to the funeral. Because you don't want to face the wife. But when the wife died, you went to the funeral. Because he told them dead. So nobody can confront you. Nobody can make you feel uneasy. You're something else, Like my brother said, I don't call the name. I who to blame? Martin Buda. Martin Buda. Tell them I say, me never thief panty, so no cut no style pan me. Me no call the name. Your business. Your business. So, thank God Big Les now went to the jail. Right? And I am hoping that if he was in trouble, that he would have called and he brother them to try and bail him out of trouble before he get too far. You understand? But all I know is that you better don't lose this election. Because how we going to know how bad it go? How we going to know who the thief them be? How we going to make sure we turn that bank inside out? Because we not thieving went on in there. We not thieving still going on in there. And so let me close out this segment by letting you know, nobody afraid you. Nobody afraid of you. Understand, you come after Ari, or you come after you. You come after Ari, or you come after you, even in death. I say no more. See how you. On pause, and then we're going to come back.
Come now, me and me neighbor. Oh yes, we voting for Labour. Alright, me and me neighbor. Bring them, we voting for Labour.
This is 102.5 Kyssfm, the Federation's one true source.
I love being in the latest style and dress fine, or should I say classy. That is why I shop at First Class next to the taxi stand at Port Sante for fine gold and silver jewelry in precious, semi-precious and colored stones, diamond and crystal watches, and the hottest handbags and wallets. And when I want to buy a gift for someone, that's easy too. I just ask them to make me a gift basket, and First Class has the best prices at Port Sante. So no matter what the occasion, come on into First Class and leave happy, knowing you've gotten the best deal for your money. It's First Class at Port Sante, where quality, low prices, and top-notch service are second to none.
Spread the word. New and exclusive every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Gospel Cafe with Carl D. Springate on KYSS-FM 102.5. Tune in and connect with the Holy Ghost Connection with live interviews, Christian news, what's hot and what's not, in the now. Birthdays and anniversary shout-outs available, Bible Jeopardy, Beyond the Pulpit, and positive entertainment and ministry. Testimonies and the pastor's moment would spread the word. So tune in as we drop the latest gospel hits, 100% flat. It's the Carl D. Springate Gospel Cafe, Sundays from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KYSSFMonline.com and 102.5 FM. And be blessed like that.
Tune in to Kyssfm every Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. for a live broadcasting of Ask the Leader with the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas as he discusses a host of national topics and issues. Listen live on radio at Kyssfm 102.5 or view live on the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party's Facebook page. Be sure to call in and let your voice be heard by dialing 869-466-5977 every Tuesday on Kyssfm 102.5. Ask the Leader with the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas.
One fashion accessories for really low prices. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Beauty supplies and weave. Genuine fragrances. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Handbags so beautiful, your friends will envy how you look. Great perfume to smell just right, you'll feel like you're in paradise. Watches, silver jewelry and hair accessories. Check silver and cents in the Amri Mall on Keon Street.
The Timothy Harris-led Unity government is setting out to disenfranchise the voters of St. Kitts and Nevis. Make sure you have your voter's ID to vote in this upcoming election. So go to the electoral office on Central Street today and collect your national ID card. Don't delay. Get your national ID card. Also get a backup ID. Make sure your passport, driver's license, or social security card is up to date. Don't be cheated out of a government that you deserve. Get your ID today.
I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody knows the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep forking it out the root. Make country flowers in there, fork it up. Make country produce in there, fork it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of the politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who talking up me country.
Welcome back to the Rebuttal. I'm Douglas Wattley, your host. I want to talk about a couple of things. I'm going to take a break as I see fit, but there are a number of things that I want to package into this evening. I want to talk about the nurses and what happened the other day. Now, Dr. Wilkinson took to the podium at the COVID-19 presentation, and he gave his opinion. And Dr. Wilkinson didn't realize, I don't think he realized, that his opinion piece was in fact a policy statement. But the problem is, he is a technician, he is a manager, he is not a policy maker, he is a policy recommender. And quite frankly, it was a good piece. It's hard to disagree with what he was saying. It's just that it was the wrong timing, and it was coming from the wrong source, the wrong individual. That is something that you expect from a policy maker, and in our setting, a policy maker is the politician. The rest of us technocrats, the rest of us are policy recommenders and policy implementers. You with me? And so I think that's what went wrong. And as I was listening, I said to myself, oops, he's about to be left out there to hang. Because the presentation created an uproar, almost an uprising, amongst the nursing sorority. They were upset. Nurses were telling me, sending things to me. I said, Mr. Wattley, you agree with this? Well, essentially what he was saying was not incorrect. It's just that it was ill-timed. And so he was left out there to hang. He was hung out there to dry. And in no time, the politicians sent the technocrats up to the hospital to have a meeting. And they rebutted what Dr. Wilkinson presented. And they said, hey, look, we got a package for you. We are going to upgrade your salaries. But what Dr. Wilkinson said, when he said that this was not the time, he was saying the timing was wrong. He didn't say that nurses did not deserve a pay increase, you know. He said the timing was wrong. And if he were in another forum where he was outside the earshot of the politician, he would have said, this is not the time for this. The timing is wrong. The timing should have been the last 5 years and 2 or 3 months. And not the last 2 or 3 months, not the last 2 or 3 months. This should have happened a long time ago. The last time nurses had an adjustment was in 1996 when yours truly under the Labour administration did it. But here is the problem. Here's the problem. You created a situation over the last 5 years where you treated the nurses like dung, animal dung, right? For 5 years, you stuck the nurses with a junior minister who did not and still does not respect them. You didn't pay them well. And when I say pay them well, I mean in the context of the larger civil service, because you should not at this point in time be trying to give nurses an increase of any sort at the expense of others, or not given the same treatment to others. And so civil servants deserve an increase across the board. Now, you say, but Wattley, we didn't give an increase. What we did was we adjusted certain salaries. And you just said that you did a similar thing. Yes, but here is what is missing. When we did it in 1996, we did it and we made sure that we didn't create or we eliminated all the anomalies in the salaries in the health system. And so nurses weren't the only allied health group that got salary adjustment. It was nurses, it was lab tech, it was pharmacists, it was environmental health officers, it was X-ray tech. The whole health system was dealt with. Because you don't want to have what we call internal inequities. You have just done a good thing for nurses, but in a very bad way, because now you have created internal inequities in the system. And shouldn't all those other people start to cry out, because now they realize that nurses were crying out. Mind, they've been crying out for 5 years, you know. Nurses were crying out. They got a fix, but the others didn't get a fix. So should they now be crying out? I already read somewhere where some one of them said, well, maybe we rest of us should make noise. But that's not the way you do it. The civil service should have gotten a raise in the last 5 years. And what you should have done is you should have looked at the entire system, if not the entire public service, because I've always said that there are too many anomalies. The internal inequities in the system are too glaring. And under the last administration, I recommended that you do a job analysis and you do a job evaluation and classification exercise so that you could smooth out all those inequities in the system. I'm going to tell you this. Douglas messed it up. Dr. Douglas and his chief secretary, that boy from Old Road, Ed Mead, they messed it up. They messed it up. That was one of the reasons why, you see, I knew I had to get out of that last administration. Because, I mean, there were a lot of things that needed to do to improve the organization, the public service, and they didn't do it. This government is even worse. And I'm saying, to whomever go back into the office, and I'm hoping that is Labour. And I'm saying that because, you see, I am hoping that Dr. Douglas has learned from his mistakes. I have to believe that he has learned from his mistakes. And I have to believe that he is going to do the things necessary to get that public service working and operating the way it's supposed to operate. And stop doing things haphazardly. And this move, while it is good for the nurses, and while I celebrate the fact that nurses are put in a better situation, it should not have been only for nurses. Should not have been just for nurses. And I don't even know if they contemplated the same package, the same thing for district nurses. Sometimes you sit back and you see people do things and you don't know how to do it, or you don't know how it's done, right? Ask a question. But kudos to the nurses. I'm glad I get a little taste. But as Dr. Wilkinson was saying, this was not the time when you talk about, because it should have been done long time. These things should have been done long time. And I know he incurred the wrath of a lot of nurses. But he, these things happen. These things happen. When it comes around these boys here, they would hang you out to dry in a heartbeat, They would hang you out to dry in a heartbeat. And so the good doctor got a taste of that. But I think by now he should have realized how they behave, He should have known how Tim be. And he shouldn't have gone out there on a limb like he did. But I'm glad that the nurses have gotten something. I personally believe that they have to take a look at what they've done, because you have to make sure that it doesn't create internal inequities in the system. And you got to make sure that you don't move some people while others don't move. And the question is, how much do you move the guy at the top versus how much do you move the guy below? All right? I am thinking that the system has to be looked at globally, because I am thinking that the top levels of the organization at some point in time would have to go up to make adequate space for those below. In other words, I'm saying PSs and heads of department, their pay scales are way too close to the middle order of the organization, and so everybody gets clumped together, and it really doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense, and make a heck of a lot of difference when it comes to incentivize persons for the levels they are in the organization. But those are things you could talk about when you have time. You don't have time right now, because look at you making this decision, and Parliament is going to be dissolved next week. And so all that you have done, you have created a situation which is going to have to be implemented by the incoming government. Got to be implemented by the incoming government. Because whatever changes you make right now are not really legal until Parliament adjudicates, and that is with the next budget. Sure, you can get paid and all that thing right now, but it's not going to be formalized until it is presented in Parliament, in the budget, and adjudicated by Parliament, right? And so, haste sometimes make waste. This was done out of desperation, when in fact it should have been out of a deliberate action, and you had 5 years to do it, and you didn't do it. There are a lot of things that needs to be done to fix the nursing situation at the hospital, right? Because I cannot imagine that it's only a pay increase that created so much discord in the nursing sorority and at the hospital. And so even though you so-called fix this problem, there must be numerous other problems that you need to address at the JNF, right? At the JNF. So I'm going to take a break, and then when I come back, we will continue our discussion. This is the rebuttal.
Come now, me and the neighbor. Oh yes, reporting for labor. Alright, me and the neighbor. Bring them, reporting for labor.
This is 102.5 Kyssfm, the Federation's one true source.
I love being in the latest style and dress fine, or should I say classy. That is why I shop at First Class next to the taxi stand at Port Sante for fine gold and silver jewelry in precious, semi-precious and colored stones, diamond and crystal watches, and the hottest handbags and wallets. And when I want to buy a gift for someone, that's easy too. I just ask them to make me a gift basket, and First Class has the best prices at Port Sante. So no matter what the occasion, come on into First Class and leave happy, knowing you've gotten the best deal for your money. It's First Class at Port Sante, where quality, low prices, and top-notch service are second to none.
Spread the word. New and exclusive every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Gospel Cafe with Carl D. Springate on KYSS FM 102.5. Tune in and connect with the Holy Ghost Connection with live interviews, Christian news, what's hot and what's not in the now. Birthdays and anniversary shout-outs available, Bible Jeopardy, Beyond the Pulpit, and positive entertainment and ministry. Testimonies and the pastor's moment with Spread the Word. So tune in as we drop the latest gospel hits, 100% flat. It's the Carl D. Springate Gospel Cafe, Sundays from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KYSSFMonline.com and 102.5 FM. And be blessed like that.
Tune in to Kyssfm every Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. for a live broadcasting of Ask the Leader with the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas as he discusses a host of national topics and issues. Listen live on radio at Kyssfm 102.5 or view live on the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party's Facebook page. Be sure to call in and let your voice be heard by dialing 869-466-5977 every Tuesday on Kyssfm 102.5. Ask the Leader with the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas.
On fashion accessories for really low prices. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Beauty supplies and weave. Genuine fragrances. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Handbags so beautiful, your friends will envy how you look. With perfume to smell just right, you'll feel like you're in paradise. Watches, silver jewelry and hair accessories. Check silver and cents in the Amri Mall on Keon Street.
The Timothy Harris-led Unity government is setting out to disenfranchise the voters of St. Kitts and Nevis. Make sure you have your voter's ID to vote in this upcoming election. So go to the electoral office on Central Street today and collect your national ID card. Don't delay. Get your national ID card. Also get a backup ID. Make sure your passport, driver's license, or social security card is up to date. Don't be cheated out of a government that you deserve. Get your ID today.
I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody knows the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep forking it out the root. Make country flowers in it, fork it up. Make country produce in it, fork it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of them politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who forking up me country.
Welcome back to the Rebuttal. I'm Douglas Wattley, and we're going to continue our discussion. We have about 3 months until the election. That's mandatory. They could call elections before, but they can't call it beyond. Now, makes you wonder what these boys up to. We know that they have been spending their time researching to see how they could postpone the thing. I read something where an individual said that they were talking to somebody who should know and who high up. And so I suspect it was a minister that they were talking to, and they said, this person said they have until the end of the 6 months of the state of emergency to hold the election. Me don't know who tell them that. Then you hear people talking about common law. Nobody take them on. You understand? Election shall be in 3 months. Now, but you notice that me don't know if it's a trick, if they're trying to lull Labour to sleep. But you ever stop to realize that they ain't ready? They ain't appear to be ready? There is no candidate named in constituency number 6. You ever stop to realize that? No candidate named in constituency number 6. Now we know whoever is there going to get their butt whooped by Dr. Douglas. But no candidate is in number 6. But even stranger is the fact that there is no candidate named in Nevis 9. Now that caused me to pause. Why wouldn't there be a candidate named in Nevis 9? Why wouldn't Mark name a candidate in Nevis 9? Or is Mark challenged by Vance and Tim because they want to name the candidate in Nevis 9? Is it that Vance is still going to run in Nevis 9? Or is Mark going to be given the opportunity to name his candidate in Nevis 9? Now, I recognize that NRP ain't named nobody yet, but that's neither here nor there. Right? I find it fascinating. And I understand that the incumbent is in fact campaigning. And another incumbent ain't campaigning for no new candidate, so the incumbent must be campaigning for himself. And so is it a done deal that Vance would return as the candidate in Nevis 9? Or is it that Mark is going to be allowed? I know he might not like that word allowed because he is the premier. He is the leader of the party. Is Mark is going to be allowed to name a candidate in Nevis 9? A lot of things getting interesting and interesting, you know. That is why I keep telling you I like time. Time is my favorite pastime. Watching time go by is my favorite pastime, you know. Because we know that at some point in time, you're going to have to make certain decisions. Decision time. Well, the first big decision is whether to dissolve the parliament or let the parliament dissolve anew. That's the first thing. And right now, you ain't looking so strong. You're looking very weak that you can't, you know, step up to the plate and say, boom, parliament is dissolved as at such and such a time. And boom, the next election shall be on such and such a day. You're looking very weak. Very weak. And I know you're counting your numbers. And I know your numbers ain't telling you what you want to hear. And so I know you feel like you're going to be a one-term government. You know, I was writing a song, but I said I ain't going to sing it. I was writing a song named, you know, when we finish this show, we end with the song One Term. Well, I was adding to that. I was trying to do a song named One Term and a Middle Finger. You understand? But somebody tell me, now leave out the middle finger part. You know, a certain fella might like that. Leave it out. So, I ain't know if I'm going to sing this song again. But I had this song I was writing named One Thumb and a Middle Finger. Alright? Now, so that's that. I want to extend kudos to the Labour Party and the Labour supporters and those people who put together one hell of a Labour weekend. I mean, you did good. You should feel proud. And I want to tell you guys, right? I want to tell you guys right now, even though last week I said that these guys should do it, as it turns out, they were already working on it. I just didn't know. So when I said they should put together the virtual march and blah, 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 they had already been packaging a program of events. And so I was just saying what they were actually doing, but I didn't know that they were doing. You understand? They say great minds think alike, but fools seldom differ. You make your pick in this instance. All right? But I think you did a great job. I think that they vex now, that they antagonize you. You understand? And so I think that only adds to their frustration as we get closer to the next elections. All right. I also want to ask if anybody knows what's up with the disciplinary tribunal. Because 60 days done gone, you know. And so these boys supposed to be called in before the tribunal. So if anybody hear what's happening, I want you all to update me. Because I have an interest in understanding what the outcome of that tribunal will be. You know, I was just having a conversation with a friend, and we were talking about transparency, we were talking about accountability and so forth. And I told them about a story I read in a newspaper today, where the Minister of Health in the Bahamas tendered his resignation. It was accepted by the Prime Minister. And why did he tender his resignation? Because he broke protocol. He usurped the authority of another minister or ministry, and he allowed a plane with COVID-19 supplies and a couple of Americans to land in the Bahamas. The country's airports were closed. And so, essentially, he shouldn't have done that. He broke protocol. I am assuming that there is a protocol which would have allowed that flight to come in. But he took it on himself to allow the plane to come in. Recognizing the error of his ways, he tendered his resignation because he understood that he did something that he shouldn't have done. You can see them kind of behavior in St. Kitts, you know. People take up client money and still insist that they should either not resign from government, but that they should be re-elected in one instance and elected in another instance. Man, no doubt these youngsters behave in the way that they behave nowadays. Why? Because we have this feeling of entitlement that even when we do wrong, even when we behave badly, we believe that people should ignore that and everything should go on as per normal. And I don't think that. There's absolutely no way these two gentlemen should be putting themselves up in office to run for office, right? And so we ought to see how we are going to react as electors, because it's up to us to make sure that they are not elected and or re-elected. You understand? And so we have to see what is happening there. And I think it would be a good thing, one way or the other, to hear what the outcome of the disciplinary tribunal would be. I think that would be important for us to find out. Now, here's another question. I don't know. I don't follow these people, so let me ask a question. Is Mabel Richards still posting online? Is Mabel still threatening the judge? You know, I heard that an investigation is going full speed ahead now, and I heard it's not an investigation that is undertaken in St. Kitts. Right? I heard there's an investigation going for making terroristic threats against the judge. So you all stay tuned, because somebody's supposed to go to jail for that. You can't hide behind a pseudonym and send out no terrorist threats. You understand? Now, them kind of threats there, terrorist threats, are things you could postpone election by them in a guy, you know, nothing. But let's face it, it's one RO who sent out them threats. And so we want to know who, and if they're trying to stymie the investigation right now, then we need to change the government, because it's one thing I know Douglas gonna get onto right away, and the statute of limitation is still fresh. Lord, help this government to change, because I want to know who Mabel is. If it's a number of people, I want to know, because I want to know who posts this. And if we got to go and lock up everybody who posts under that pseudonym, then so be it. Or offer somebody a deal, and by a process of elimination, you could figure out who it is. But somebody's supposed to get locked up for that. Though making those kind of threats cannot be accepted or acceptable in a civilized society. And they cannot go unpunished. I would like to know who was dumb enough to think that they enjoy some kind of protective status, that they could make those kind of threats. Them things, they're not supposed to happen. Somebody's supposed to get locked up. So all we need to know who Mabel is. So not only do we need to know what has been going on in Development Bank, right? Mind. If you are on the board of the Development Bank and all kind of things have been going on in the bank, you have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that the bank runs properly. And so you can't now come and say you didn't know, you know. If you didn't know, you better learn fast. Because you, as members of that board, may find yourself in some serious problems. Or you better pray that everything that happened in that bank was above board. Or make sure you win the election. And I don't think you're going to win the election. So I know how you try to clean up behind all yourself right now. I'm going to take a break, and then we'll come back and we'll chit-chat a little bit more. But somebody going jail.
Come now, me and the neighbor. Oh yes, we voting for Labour. All right, me and the neighbor. Bring them, we voting for Labour.
This is 102.5 Kyssfm, the Federation's one true source.
I love being in the latest style and dress fine, or should I say classy. That is why I shop at First Class next to the taxi stand at Port Sante for fine gold and silver jewelry in precious, semi-precious and colored stones, diamond and crystal watches, and the hottest handbags and wallets. And when I want to buy a gift for someone, that's easy too. I just ask them to make me a gift basket, and First Class has the best prices at Port Sante. So no matter what the occasion, come on into First Class and leave happy, knowing you've gotten the best deal for your money. It's First Class at Port Sante, where quality, low prices, and top-notch service are second to none.
Spread the word. New and exclusive every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Gospel Cafe with Carl D. Springate on KYSS FM 102.5. Tune in and connect with the Holy Ghost Connection with live interviews, Christian news, what's hot and what's not in the now. Birthdays and anniversary shout-outs available, Bible Jeopardy, Beyond the Pulpit, and positive entertainment and ministry. Testimonies and the pastor's moment will spread the word. So tune in as we drop the latest gospel hits 100% flat. It's the Carl D. Springate Gospel Cafe, Sundays from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KYSSFMOnline.com and 102.5 FM. And be blessed like that.
Tune in to Kyssfm every Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. for a live broadcasting of Ask the Leader with the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas as he discusses a host of national topics and issues. Listen live on radio at Kyssfm 102.5 or view live on the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party's Facebook page. Be sure to call in and let your voice be heard by dialing 869-466-5977 every Tuesday on Kyssfm 102.5. Ask the Leader with the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas.
One fashion accessories for really low prices. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Beauty supplies and weave. Genuine fragrances. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Handbags so beautiful, your friends will envy how you look. Great perfume to smell just right, you'll feel like you're in paradise. Watches, silver jewelry and hair accessories. Check silver and cents in the Amri Mall on Keon Street.
The Timothy Harris-led Unity government is setting out to disenfranchise the voters of St. Kitts and Nevis. Make sure you have your voter's ID to vote in this upcoming election. So go to the electoral office on Central Street today and collect your national ID card. Don't delay. Get your national ID card. Also get a backup ID. Make sure your passport, driver's license, or social security card is up to date. Don't be cheated out of a government that you deserve. Get your ID today.
I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody knows the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep fucking it out the root. Make country flowers in the fuck it up. Make country produce in the fuck it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of the politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who fucking up my country.
Welcome back to the Rebuttal. I'm Douglas Wattley, your host. We continue with our little chit-chat. Somebody asked me the other day, recently actually, they asked, what happened to those blue buildings on Wellington Road? Have they been assigned yet? If not, when? I don't understand you all making a whole lot of noise about this and about that. And most of the projects them that you do, projects of any significance, you ain't finished them enough. You ain't finished them. Now these projects here, housing, I mean, they should have been completed now for a while. I mean, we are at the 5th month in 2020, and those projects should have been finished since 2019, if I'm not mistaken. Yet in May, they're not assigned, which means they may not have been completed, or you're playing tricks. This is an old trick they got, you know. They wait until close to the election and they offer the house. Let's say you got 50 apartments in those buildings. I don't know how many. But what they're going to do is they're going to offer those 50 to about 400 people. You see, because you don't know what you don't know. They're not going to show you the books. They're not going to be honest. And so they're going to offer as many of those buildings to as many individuals because they believe that the offer, right, which suggests that you'll get the home or the apartment after the election, it's a bribe. They're trying to get you to vote. And lo and behold, after the election, 50 people are going to show up, right? 400 people are going to show up for 50 apartments. But they ain't going to care then. That is why I tell you, make sure you get your paperwork now. Make sure if 50 are you supposed to get apartments, make sure you get your paperwork now. If you ain't get your paperwork now, you are being bamboozled. They're tricking you. And let's face it, even if they are finishing those buildings, if they're not completely finished, they could create a transaction, right, that guarantees you your house, your apartment, your keys. And so after the election, nobody can come and tell you, boy, you know, we're going to build one for you next year. You understand? Make sure you get yours now. Don't let them trick you. A word to the wise is usually enough. Don't let them trick you. But I don't see that is Douglas gonna have to finish a lot of the projects, cause then another ass from the elbow. They got a pier down there. Douglas gonna got to finish that. You see, you hear people talk about pier. You hear people say they're gonna build pier. You run gone, go try to build pier, and you got no idea about building pier. And now watch this. Pier spoil. So Douglas gonna got to fix that one for you. Right? Them two projects there is by patches, aren't they? The same patches who they say think he is entitled to talk about Sam out of his place. Anyway, do I deal with him last night? Me not got to mention him no more. You notice that Dwyer has been kicking butt and taking names on Facebook Live. At one point in time last night, I saw 711 people signed on, and it looked like it was going up. With Dwyer kicking butt. What happened to them fellas who say they're competing against Dwyer again? Them fellas who in Dwyer slap down at Win FM, they're getting their ass bust. Nobody want to hear them there. Dwyer on campaign, and Dwyer got more listenership than them. Plenty people logging on every Tuesday to hear Dwyer. They can't compete. They can't compete. Nobody want to hear them. And the funny thing is, they're close to an election. You're close to an election, but you're supposed to be kicking ass if you're the incumbent. By the way, I could say ass? Excuse me there. Sorry. Alright. So, here's another question. Who is the new security company that taking all that money out the treasury? Not the one that kicking back money to a political family. Not that one. That one up the hospital. Not that one. You know. I understand there's a next one providing security, maybe for the bus terminals or something like that. I understand that a load of money will come out at the treasury for that one day too. Or you find that out now and let me know. Right? Find that out and let me know. You see, these people take you for granted, you know. Because I mean, I never thought a government could be so thief so quickly. I mean, you probably expect a little thing, but a little pilfering here and there. But Lord, them a thief. Who not thief took. It ain't easy, boy. It ain't easy. And so I believe the best thing to do is to change accordingly. Because I don't tell Labour, no, you go in and you do stupidness, you're supposed to get change out. The beauty about these elections is this. The last election proved that no man can ever expect to stay in power indefinitely. People got a say in it. If Douglas ever thought himself invincible, the people said no. You got to always be responsive to us and responsible or accountable to us. And the people spoke. And Douglas heard. You understand? But these guys here, this is why I want you to vote them out. Because that is going to prove that if you fail to take heed, and if you fail to do right by the people, you are going to be voted out. And it doesn't matter if you are the first and only party to get one term, you are going to be voted out. That's the beauty of this. The people retain the power to determine who sits in the offices on Church Street. That's the beauty of this situation. And I for one, would tell you that's what motivates me. Nobody's supposed to think that they are guaranteed a place in Parliament or a place in government unless and until they understand what it is to serve the people, unless they agree to be accountable to the people. If you were not willing to abide by those rules, then out goes you. And that is why I say out goes Team Unity. We're going to pause and then we'll come back and close it out.
Come now, me and the neighbor. Oh yes, we voting for Labour. Alright, me and the neighbor. Bring them, we voting for Labour.
This is 102.5 Kyssfm, the Federation's one true source.
I love being in the latest style and dress fine, or should I say classy. That is why I shop at First Class next to the taxi stand at Port Sante for fine gold and silver jewelry in precious, semi-precious and colored stones, diamond and crystal watches, and the hottest handbags and wallets. And when I want to buy a gift for someone, that's easy too. I just ask them to make me a gift basket, and First Class has the best prices at Port Sante. So no matter what the occasion, come on into First Class and leave happy, knowing you've gotten the best deal for your money. It's First Class at Port Sante, where quality, low prices, and top-notch service are second to none.
Spread the word. New and exclusive every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Gospel Cafe with Carl D. Springate on KYSS FM 102.5. Tune in and connect with the Holy Ghost Connection with live interviews, Christian news, what's hot and what's not in the now. Birthdays and anniversary shout-outs available, Bible Jeopardy, Beyond the Pulpit, and positive entertainment and ministry. Testimonies and the pastor's moment with Spread the Word. So tune in as we drop the latest gospel hits 100% flat. It's the Carl D. Springate Gospel Cafe, Sundays from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KYSSFMonline.com and 102.5 FM. And be blessed like that.
Tune in to Kyssfm every Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. for a live broadcasting of Ask the Leader with the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas as he discusses a host of national topics and issues. Listen live on radio at Kyssfm 102.5 or view live on the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party's Facebook page. Be sure to call in and let your voice be heard by dialing 869-466-5977 every Tuesday on Kyssfm 102.5. Ask the Leader with the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas.
One fashion accessories for really low prices. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Beauty supplies and weave. Genuine fragrances. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Handbags so beautiful, your friends will envy how you look. With perfume to smell just right, you'll feel like you're in paradise. Watches, silver jewelry, and hair accessories. Check silver and cents in the Amri Mall on Keon Street.
The Timothy Harris-led Unity government is setting out to disenfranchise the voters of St. Kitts and Nevis. Make sure you have your voter's ID to vote in this upcoming election. So go to the electoral office on Central Street today and collect your national ID card. Don't delay. Get your national ID card. Also get a backup ID. Make sure your passport, driver's license, or social security card is up to date. Don't be cheated out of a government that you deserve. Get your ID today.
I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody knows the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep forking it out the root. Make country flowers in there, fork it up. Make country produce in there, fork it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of the politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who talking up me country.
Welcome back to the Rebuttal, guys. And so I'm going to close out now. I think I may end up going over just a bit, but my engineer tells me I could do what I want. So I just wanted to touch two things, actually. Two things. The COVID situation has improved in St. Kitts. And that's by way of the reports that are presented by the COVID-19 team. Now, the question that I want to know is how long before we can be assured that all cases are accounted for? In other words, when will we get an all clear? Because, we have to take account of not only the cases that have recovered, and even if all 15 cases are recovered, we have to pay attention to the number in quarantine and isolation, as the case might be. Quarantine and isolation, right? And so we need to know, because, you see, if everybody is out of quarantine, if everybody is out of isolation, if everybody has recovered, right, then it means that we should be getting an all clear soon thereafter. And I don't mind that we clear up all the cases before we get an all clear, I don't mind. Because I think it is important for us to start off at ground level zero once again. And so it is important. I know Nevis has all persons recovered. Now I don't know if in Nevis there anyone in quarantine yet, and if there anyone in isolation. Well, no, because everybody's recovered, so none is in isolation. But you could have people in quarantine because maybe they have not yet shown a positive test. All right? But what I'm saying is, take your time. We've suffered through, so let us bear with the authorities a little bit longer. Take your time, because we know very soon, that's why I like time, because with time, things to happen. And one of the things we know that with time, because you see, we have gone all these days without a positive test. Nobody gonna come now and tell you there is no positive test easily. But if people are in quarantine, depending on when they went in quarantine, it is possible. And so let us wait. Let us use the time, because we want to hear an all clear. Because once you hear all clear, nobody can tell you that they're not going to open up St. Kitts for at least internal daily operations. You understand what I'm saying? And that day cannot be that far off. That day cannot be that far off. And then it means that the only way a case is going to occur in St. Kitts is that it has to come from outside. Which means you now must listen for a strategy or a tactic regarding how you are going to manage the borders. Who can come in and under what condition? Because people can come in, but you just have to put things in place to make sure that they don't bring in the virus. You can't be too slack. That is what we are listening to hear. And like I say, can't be too far off. We want to get back to business as usual. But we don't want to be reckless about it. I have to say kudos to the team that have worked to mitigate, control the virus. You've done a good job. I still would have liked to see a situation where it was an all hands on deck and not a political thing. Now, our technocrats are not political animals. Our technocrats are not political animals. But I would have liked to see a parliamentary committee made up of both sides. I would have liked to see a steering committee made up of permanent secretaries and a representative or representatives from the chamber. And then the permanent secretaries would establish the various task force or lead the various task force, which themselves would be made up of persons from all walks of life. And so the PS would have led the COVID-19 task force, right? And that would have made up of the CMO, the medical chief of staff. They would have had somebody to do contact tracing or surveillance. You would have had somebody to do procurement and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, we work with what we got. We work with what we got. And, you know, nothing is always the way it could be. But it is the way it is. And you did a good job keeping the spread of the disease under control. And for that, we ought to be grateful. We ought to be grateful to all those persons on the front lines, police, customs, nurses, all the lab techs, right? All the people who work in the hospital at every level, those who clean, those who cook, the doctors, everybody, we want to say kudos, we want to say thank you for being there. We want to say thank you for the hard work that you've done. We know that you're not doing the political part. The political part is for the politician and people like me to criticize as we go along. But you did a great job. All we got to do is now wait for the all clear, right? And just be patient. Just be patient, because I don't want nothing to go wrong. I want when we get the all clear, it means everything clear. You understand? It means everything clear. Guys, I think that's it for this evening. I ran out of time again. Had a couple of more things that I wanted to address, but we'll just have to make that do. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you didn't, I promise that next week we'll try to do better. All right? You all stay safe. And we'll talk again next week. Have a good evening, you all.
While some others mad, the people they vote for, frustrating them bad. They just feel to cause them when they see them pass, or just take a big stone and knock down their ass. But I have a therapy I'm willing to share. Anytime the pressure get too much to bear, I have a new dance, it is the formula. Once you do it, I know you must feel better. So give me a minute or two, let me explain the dance to you. Just a simple demonstration, it is very easy to learn. Put your hand in the air like this, close your finger and make a fist. Let go your tongue, put it in the air. Wave it like you ain't care. Anytime you see them MP, do it for them to see. And if they ask you what that means, tell them the dance you're doing is one time. One time. I want all you to take a chance. Show them the one time dance. One time. One time. Put your thumb up and then balance. Show them the one time dance. If you hardly don't see MP, anytime you're checking me busy, Peter David always flying. Tongue people cannot see him. Gilbert we realize, like he and people they be nice. Some of them are passing away, they forget to put them up there. Put it up your thumb. Put it up your thumb. If they're treating us like this, one thumb for qualis. Put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. When they're treating us like that, one thumb for Joe Gilbert. Put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. If they treat us like lavas, one thumb for the. Anytime they fret you, really get you vexed, make you feel you want to cut out your index. You just have to lead them, do their stupidness. Don't make it a problem, just go and practice. Then give them the one time if they wouldn't take it light. Showing everybody they cannot unite. And when you hear they talking about group of four, that is the time that you have to dance some more. They behaving power hungry, like they want leadership quickly. The way they get in on a show, they can't wait for Tilly to go. They're so embarrassing, and they're petty quarreling, fretting you to the max. The dance gon' help you relax. All in from the media, they cussing one another. This stupidness reminding we of October 1983. One time. If they
show them the one thumb dance. One thumb, one thumb. Put your thumb up and then balance. Show them the one thumb dance. If you find the body stealing, only IMF they studying. They made the country in deep shit, so they're trying to fix it, but they made that mistake before. 92, 93 and 4. NMP always got in and giving them the rubbish to clean. Put it up your thumb. Put it up your thumb. If they wouldn't understand, one thumb for Tillman. Put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. If you want to push it up, one thumb for Nazimbok. Put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. If they wouldn't stop this thing, one thumb for the skin. They could try the ocean, nobody would know. Their public relation is so bloody poor. Wouldn't tell people nothing, wouldn't blow their trumpet, and that is enough to get a man upset. One tongue to give them if you find they lapsing. All kind of NNP they high up in thing, trying their best to make them unpopular. Look what they do with the old people water. Them fellas supposed to be bright, yeah they can see the light. What I am saying in a sense, education not common sense. You get in a problem when you see traitors around them, and you still do not know why the hell they don't make them go. Anything what they say, they leaking it out right away before they make a decision. If they on Alan Campbell program, one thumb. Time to take them out of their trance. Show them the one thumb dance. One thumb. Put your thumb up and then balance. Show them the one thumb dance. If you find a hole in secret, they would never expose kid. What about the call center? They ain't giving no answer. Before the election was talk about corruption. Now the election done, it's like all the corruption gone. Put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. If you won't get up and get one thumb for Dennis Let, put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. If you won't reconsider, one thumb for Peter. Put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. Once they're thinking back to front, one thumb. And you feeling better now? I tell you, you will feel better. This therapy walking, you know. Up there. When they start to do better, we gonna make a new dance called the two-thumb dance. But until then, what